Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cinema Regulars, the movie review show where we see so many movies in theaters that the employees know us by name and they don't ask us what movies we're seeing, they ask us how many. Now, today, we have a little bit of a mixed bag going on as it took us a handful of outings to collect enough movies to talk about today. So we are going to be starting off with the brand new horror movie Abigail. We will then be following it up with a much less promoted horror movie, one that went kind of under the radar. Sting, about a giant spider. And then we'll be finishing up with the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. The latest Guy Ritchie action movie, so that'll be some fun going into here. Pretty good lineup. Mr. Isaac, I believe we will hand the microphone over to you to read off the synopsis for Abigail as we move into that as our first movie.
Yep, absolutely. So, Abigail is described as a group of would-be criminals kidnaps the 12-year-old daughter of a powerful underworld figure, holding her for ransom in an isolated mansion. Their plan starts to unravel when they discover their young captive is actually a bloodthirsty vampire. Now, that is exactly what literally all of the advertisement for this movie is.
That sounds to me like you read off a novelization of the trailer.
Yeah, and what's even worse is the fact that that is literally every single promotion for this movie. The poster that was next to the theater for this movie was her with blood all over her. And they spent the first half an hour of this goddamn movie hiding that fact from us.
Yeah, because they kind of did like there's something going around. They're like, oh, it's the hitman for because like the thing is that her dad is like this crime boss figure. But they're trying to go off like, oh, like something's happening, something's going on. Maybe it's the hitman for that. And like, it's like, there's no hitman. It's her. We know this already.
Yeah. Like this isn't news to us. Like it's literally just like all of the who done it, like what's going on, throwing suspicion at all the different people kind of thing is solely for the characters in the movie. Like everyone, all of us watching the movie, we know what the inevitable conclusion is going to be.
Because how many of them were there? 7 at the start?
There was, let's see here, the big dude, getaway, big dude, getaway guy, leader, girl to check on the kid, girl to do the hacking, and then the sniper. 6.
Yeah, so there was 6 of them. So 2 of them died before they even revealed that the little girl was the monster. So they cut their cast into a third. They cut a third of their cast out before they even dropped that reveal that everybody knew.
Yeah, like I will say, I really like not so much the first guy's death, but the second guy's death in the movie. I really, really liked. I actually really liked that moment. It was kind of cool.
All right, dude. Have any more on that? Because I have an opposite opinion.
Oh, okay, I do have more. Like I liked the fact that they had the like that is the only moment that I liked the fact that they were hiding it from you solely because it led to that scene where it's like she just told them that one chick like, oh, it's Frank. It's that guy. He's the dude killing everyone or whatever. And like she goes out and tells that guy like, oh, it's him. It's him. And then like so they split up and they get like 10 feet away, and the dude like she kills the guy. And now that I'm thinking more on it, like logistically, like practically, that is I'm realizing it's a stupid death. But I like the moment where she like they split up, and then she takes a moment and pauses and looks back down the hallway and just sees him standing there in the flickering light. And then like half
Right.
his face is
The
missing. Like that was cool. I like that.
well,
But now that I'm thinking about it
right.
practically, that was really fucking stupid.
Well, no, my issue is that they my issue is literally to the point where it comes to where they split up, they walk away, and then you hear like the like the that sound, and then she turns around, and then he's just standing there facing away from her, and he's like twitching and like death rattling. We know he's dead, okay?
Yes.
Like, because they do the thing where she walks towards like, "Are you okay? Say something." Huh? What's going like as she's
Oh
like
yeah,
creeping
that.
we know he's dead. You're not fooling anybody. This is
The
not
big
gonna be any kind of thing. And then he turns around and then like his face is gnashed open and his neck is gnashed open. Admittedly, the effects look cool, but it's not a surprise. It's
No,
not a
it
surprise.
wasn't a surprise.
The thing is, they dragged it out. They dragged it
The
out.
movie took
So, like
itself way too seriously is the problem.
as soon as she turned around and saw him standing there, not moving, and he was kind of twitching, everybody knew he was dead. Okay?
Yes.
Like the reveal of oh he's dead, that's not gonna hit you. You wasted too much
No.
time, and then it took her like a full like 30 seconds to scoot across the floor to go check on him. We know
Let
he's
me put it,
dead.
let me put it this way. If all of the promotion, if they would have did the promotional stuff for this movie completely differently, this actually might
Hmm.
have been a decently surprising movie. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding you.
it would have been a alright twist if they kept it secret that she was the monster. If they just said like, oh, there's a thing
If they
running
would have
amok
if they
here,
would if they would have built
killing
it,
people while we do this. So like, yeah. If they
yeah.
build it like it's like, oh, the hitman is a vampire.
Yeah,
It's like
but
we fucked
like
with the wrong guy, and now his vampire hitman's coming after us. And then plot twist: the little girl is the hitman.
yeah, like literally if they would have shot it's you know what I'm realizing? This year has been kind of an L year for trailers.
Yeah.
Like trailers have been not billing the movies correctly, and it's been setting the movie up for failure because the trailer for this movie billed it like I thought this was going to be a goofy, like not really goofy comedy, but like kind of like silly stuff. But
Comedy.
like yeah, well, maybe not like I wouldn't say it would have been a comedy, but like
I went in this and
best way.
expecting they were gonna take it the same kind of as like Renfield, where it's like
Yeah.
horrors, blood and guts everywhere, but haha is funny because literally in the trailer they're like, we kidnapped a vampire, and the other girl goes, a ballerina vampire. I'm like, that's fucking
There's
goofy.
literally the moment where the little girl is like doing ballet shit all over the movie. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like oh my god, all the shit of like after they do the reveal, she is a vampire. All of the like her fucking with them and everything was just so lame.
Yeah. I mean, the little girl is like, she's
She's
not a
really
bad
good.
actor. She's not a bad actor. There's a lot of bad children actors, and she gets away with it. But the
Mhm.
fact it's like I just don't like the character they gave her. This smug little kind of whatever. I'm like, you're dressed as a fucking fairy princess right now. Don't like pretend to be hard ass.
Another thing that really sucked that I hated every single time they did it, especially for her, is
Yeah,
when they gave her her fangs. Literally every single time.
yeah.
I hated the way it looked.
I think the only time anybody's fangs looked good um was the lackey, the Gus Fring.
Yeah.
Because spoiler alert, guys, he is a vampire working for her the whole time, and his looked cool because instead of having pointy teeth, he had his regular teeth and they were concave, like they were cut in,
Yeah.
which was interesting. Like I liked the look of that. It looked like they carved chunks out of his teeth rather than carving his teeth to be pointy.
Yeah. Like that one did look good. It was just also, even on that note, all the twists they put in this movie were so off the wall. The- Like all the different like the one guy turning into a vampire
I wouldn't
and
call those
like,
twists at all.
well, no, I wouldn't say twists, but like they weren't something I expected to
Like,
happen in the
yeah, like
movie.
story beats. Like this really got away from itself. Cause
Kind
I
of did.
cause it really played off like it was gonna be like oh, we gotta do this. Like I thought like, oh, the sunlight kills them, and I was like, okay, so I went into this expecting, okay, little girl vampire, whatever, they're gonna, team up, do whatever, kill her, and then it's gonna be like the ending of Gremlins where they have the final showdown, and then they expose the sunlight, and then she bursts into flames or whatever and dies.
Yeah.
But no,
Oh,
because they just take all these different like left field, not plot twist, but like turns in direction. Like I'm like, I can't even fully, follow what the plot line is happening here anymore.
the movie netted like the movie was a net neutral by the end of it. Nothing happened. Like nothing, no character. The only thing that happened was the girl, the final girl, as Dead Meat would put it or whatever. Like
That's
like
just what they
her,
called, man.
yeah, like the final girl. She walks away and is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go find my son and go be with my son." And like, cool. We knew that's what you were going to do since like halfway through this movie. Like we knew that's what you were doing. Like you took this job to go do that.
Yeah.
It's what you were going to go do. So the movie ends with you being able to go do what you were going to do. Like no character had any growth in this movie. And like fucking, oh my god. Like I like vampires. Vampires are cool. They're a
Hmm.
cool monster. I like the
When they're
fact
done right.
I like vampires because vampires are like a sentient monster.
Right.
Like they're cunning and you're like, yes, they're weaknesses and not weaknesses and stuff have been like changed over the years. I'm looking at you, Twilight. But fucking like there are cool things that some things do and not cool things that some of them do, but most of them usually follow like the same beats. Like one thing that this one did, always in vampire lore, if you are bitten by a vampire, you become like subservient to a vampire. You are like you are their pawn or whatever. But if you
But
drink the vampire's
that's not
blood,
how it usually goes.
okay,
It's
but
usually
like
it's usually you just turn into a vampire.
yes, but if you drink the vampire's blood, you become fully like you have to be bitten and drink their blood.
Yeah.
Like you have to be given their blood as well. So it's there's that stuff, but then there's other ones that people change. The thing that was stupid about this one, while visually it looked good, like the fact that the vampires just have instant death.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you get
If you,
exposed to sunlight, you fucking explode.
yeah, I think when they did it on Abigail, when it just blew up her arm, I thought that was good. And then the first time a vampire died, when they just exploded into guts and just went straight from solid to liquid, that was surprising and cool, admittedly.
Yeah.
But then after the first one, you start thinking about it, and it just gets less cool, and then they just keep doing it more.
Like the fact that they stabbed the dude, and like because they stabbed him in the chest, they stabbed him with the wooden stake in the heart, he just fucking explodes. And like it's not like he just like explode, like he literally explodes. Like he throws them back. Like there's force behind this explosion. Like you
Yeah.
literally turned into a blood and guts bomb. And like that's so stupid, like as a concept. And not only that, like
And you can tell if we could get into the more like um religiously accurate parts of this, you can tell that they don't know anything about the logic of how vampires work or how like the
oh,
biblical
like
aspect of that works,
yeah.
because they do this, they hit her with the garlic, and then she's like, "Ha, garlic doesn't work." And then the big guy pulls out the crucifix and the crucifix, and then she's like, "Haha, that doesn't work." And I think they try holy water at some point. They're like, "Ha, that doesn't work."
I don't
Um,
remember holy water, but continue.
that's why I said I think.
Good point.
Um, but so I believe what they were attempting to say is that with the crucifix not doing anything like it's supposed to, like burn them because they're unholy creatures. What they are trying to say is that they are not hurt by the power of Christ.
Yeah.
However, the whole reason why a stake to the heart is what's known to kill vampires, where that comes from, is that the
Hmm.
stake was whittled out of a crucifix.
Yes, it
Like you
was
take a
made from
crucifix,
holy
carve
wood.
it into a stake, and then kill it. That's why it's not just any. But they take like any stick that's remotely pointy, and jab it into them, and they explode, which
Yeah.
contradicts its own logic there.
Yeah, it does. And then the other thing that I was like all the stuff that they also did was really stupid in like reveals and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Nothing was surprising in this movie. There was no surprise.
Well, not
There was
only
no
that,
like,
like they went the wrong route for some of it because like the first guy that died, like he was checking out the basement and stuff, and he's the one who noticed like what the fuck, that girl in the photo, like she looks like the girl we got. He didn't say that out loud, but you could see that recognition on his face, and then he
yeah, in the
immediately dies
painting.
in that scene. He
Yeah, in
immediately
case
dies in the
anyone
next
was
scene.
wondering.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here
Well, I,
like it would have been cool. I think it would have been like better
what?
for the reveal. Like if they were the way that they were setting this up, it would have been better for the reveal for him to have told someone and like, yo, there's this painting downstairs on the wall, and like the little like old ass painting, and it looks like the little girl. Like and then like people just dismiss him because he's fucking high or whatever or drunk, you know, like they've been dismissing him the whole movie. But like him to at least have told someone
Uh, I no,
versus
I
it's
don't agree
versus
with
that
that.
what I'm trying to say is that like the whole reveal of her being the vampire and the bad guy or whatever is literally driven solely from dude tries to leave. Can't leave. Or no, how was it? I forget how they ended up in her room. Why did they end up in her room the second time? Oh yeah, that's
Does
right.
it
They were
matter?
going to torture her. They were going to torture her to get more information out of her over like who's the bad guy or whatever or something like that. But they all end up in her room, and that's when she just reveals that she's a vampire. Like she just like pops
Yeah.
her freaking cuffs off or whatever, and
Yeah,
all this
had
stuff. And it's
this
like,
been, I don't know, had this been, I feel like the painting that you're going on about is more of a hindrance, if anything. Because
yeah,
I feel like, again, they should have hid that aspect that she
yeah.
was the vampire. And if you had that painting, him looking at that painting, anyone in the audience could just be like, oh, so she's the vampire and she's like hundreds of years old. Okay, I get it. I got the twist already. Good. The only reason why that scene even works kind of is because everyone knows that she's the vampire except for those characters. So if that was cut out entirely, he didn't look at the painting, whatever, he just went down there, heard the noise, and died, and then they went up there. Fast forward, and she just reveals that she does the thing. She starts because what she does is she starts like she's handcuffed, like chain and like cuffed to the bed, and what she does is she starts like cracking her wrist and like bending her bones like out of the thing and just taking it off. If that was the first hint that something was wrong with this girl, is that she just starts like breaking her joints out, and then she does the reveal that she's a vampire, that would have been the biggest drop. I mean, granted,
Mhm.
some people obviously could have figured it out, but like, if you were to go into this movie completely blind, you probably would have been able to put it together, but that would have been a great reveal if it wasn't absolutely everywhere.
Yes. Like if we would have gone into this movie completely blind on it, it would have changed the way you watch the movie.
Right. The problem
But
is that there's no way you could go into this completely blind because they put the marketing for this everywhere. It was the only movie trailer put as a YouTube ad. It was shown in every theater showing a PG-13 movie.
yeah,
It was just pushed everywhere. It was so
absolutely.
overhyped and it didn't live up to it at all.
Yeah, on that note, unless you got anything else, I think we should just move into the rankings.
Um I have a couple little things.
All right.
Um Number 1, this movie's not scary.
It's not.
I got a ad today saying that critics and audiences are calling it, quote, the perfect horror movie. And I'm like, it's not scary. Nothing scary happens in this movie. I would trust a 12-year-old to go see it alone and be fine. Um there are two separate 5-minute long exposition scenes running down the details of every single character's backstory and personality, and nobody cares. The first time they do it, they have the two guys, so we get their backstory, and then they die, so who cares? And then they get the real backstory the second time because they all lied about who they were. And it's like, you're all gonna die anyways. Who cares? This is not important. You're just wasting time at this point. And then my last gripe was that the main chick was her deal was that she was an army medic who started hitting up the morphine on, you know, she was getting high on her own supply type thing.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's the scene in the beginning, like the first 5-minute long exposition scene, is she's going around the room like taking one look at somebody and telling everything about their personality, just like, oh, I can tell that you're this and that and that. I'm like, why? It would have been much better reveal if she was like an ex like police profiler who got into the, you know, confiscation, like the evidence, you know?
Yeah.
Because that would be essentially the same story, and it would be much easier to explain that. Because the only reason they made her a military medic is that so she can wrap up the boo boos on whoever gets stabbed this minute, and she only does that like twice, and it's not really anything you need like a full medical expertise in. I'll just poured alcohol on the wounds and wrapped it up.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have
Ooh.
handled certain aspects of this a lot better, and they didn't. The only thing I really liked was the big guy, Peter. He was like actually funny
Yeah.
and pretty
Yeah.
entertaining.
So, speaking of wounds, there was one specific moment that I thought looked so fucking dumb. It is the part where the three of them go up to try and kill her with their sharpened freaking pool cues.
Yeah.
And like the girl stays downstairs and like Abigail grabs the stick from the dude and like doesn't even shove it. Like literally just places it in his leg.
Yeah, it didn't
Like
look great.
she didn't stab him. She literally just went eh, and then he's got a hole in his leg now. Like literally just like granted, a vampire could do that because it's just strong, I guess.
It
But like
did not look
literally
good.
it didn't look good. Like she literally just places it in his leg and he just goes, ah! And then they drag him out. Like the amount of times, like if this was an actual, like I get the whole I like playing with my food, whatever thing. Like it's still dumb. Anyway, we've
Yeah.
ranted way too long about this movie that we didn't like.
I, I'm I'm still mad they didn't kill her.
Yeah, the fact that she
They
didn't
did
die by the end
they
of the
did the
movie.
same fucking thing they always do with these damn things, is that they made the villain sympathetic last minute. Last minute there's a brand like within like the last 15 minutes they completely change villains, and the villain is now the good guy for actually no reason. And I hate when they do that. I want she ate people. She's gonna continue to eat people. Kill the bitch.
Yeah. Anyway,
Get this fucking thing
uh,
out of here.
yeah. Moving on to the rankings. I gave this movie a 3 out of 10. I was gonna give it a 4, but literally as we were talking about this, and I realized just all the stupid stuff, like all the gripes I had with it. I'm like, yeah, this movie sucks. I'm bumping it down a number.
Yeah, I walked out of the theater thinking that was like a 6, somewhere around the beekeeper monkey man
Yeah.
area. I've been thinking on it, and it's the best I can give it is a 4 now. Cuz like I'm
Yeah.
in the theater, I'm like, okay, so there's some stuff that's good. I like the jokes. Even you like the
Mhm.
onion
Yeah.
joke.
I I love the part where they're like, go to the kitchen and get some onion and go get some garlic. She's like,
She
okay.
comes
And she's like a
back.
stupid teenager. She goes back, she's like, I got him. And she goes, Sammy, those are fucking onions. Like, that was
Yeah,
so
that's a
funny.
great joke. That's a great joke.
That is
And
a
then
great
like
joke with great pacing. Like, the jokes were kind of good. It's just the overarching movie was just so
it's just,
bad.
yeah, the story was boring. Like how they handled it was real,
The characters
like
could have all
lame.
been super, like, interesting.
I
Like,
don't
they really
think
could have
they
been.
put any effort into the characters. They just hired
That's the
6
problem.
people, and then they were like all the characters were one note. All of them,
Yeah.
even the main character was one note. And then that's why they had the 2 5-minute long exposition scenes so they can give the illusion of having, more to their character. But there isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it just wasn't
Yeah.
great. It actually kind of sucked because the chick who played Sammy, like, I was happy she was in there. Because I haven't seen her in anything, I mean, she was in Quantumania, I guess. But, like, the thing I knew her
Poor
mostly from
bastard.
was from... I knew her mostly from, Supernatural. Because she was Cass's daughter. Cass's Vessel's daughter. But yeah,
Uh,
she wasn't like a super major character, but I liked her whenever she was on the show. I was like, oh yeah, I like the kind of that. Yeah, it worked, and like she was just so like, oh my gosh. I've seen several different like things, by the way, of like the cast, and like I saw a thing the other day where apparently during the filming of this movie, some of the cast members they're like, oh, on the scene of the new vampire movie, so we're gonna recreate a scene from the vampire movie, and they literally like very loosely recreate the baseball scene from the first Twilight movie, and it was so bad. Hello?
yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it was just it was not great. Let's move on from this.
Up next, we have Sting.
Now, we were both like super hyped for this.
Yeah, I had a really good feeling about going into this based on the trailer alone. I get good feelings about trailers, and it's not just like, oh, that's good, that's
Oh,
bad, that's good, that's bad. No, I get zeroed in on
yeah.
one trailer, and I'm like, this. I feel good about this,
Yeah.
and I felt that way about
So
Sting.
Sting, yeah, so Sting is described, it's got a fucking Bible as its thing, but I'll read it all. Charlotte is a rebellious 12-year-old girl who finds a tiny spider in her rundown apartment building. She keeps it in a jar, but it soon starts to grow at a monstrous rate and develop an insatiable appetite for blood. As her neighbors begin to disappear, Charlotte and her family find themselves in a desperate fight for their lives against a ravenous arachnid with a taste for human flesh.
Okay, now first thing off the bat, it is very rare to see a giant spider movie take itself seriously.
Yes.
Um, because inherently making something just bigger is something that either like comedy horror movies such as Eight-Legged Freaks,
Big ass
that's like
spider.
it's a big ass spider, things like that go around, or it's very like D-list, zero budget horror movie, like Shark Exorcist type shit, like is where it goes. But you don't get something on this level taking itself this seriously with a premise like Giant Spider, and it paid off. I
Oh yeah.
absolutely love the angle that they went through. Because it's actually not a spider. It's a little alien thing that happens to look exactly like a spider. It crashes in a little meteorite, and that's where she finds it. And as she feeds it, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Um,
Yeah. That was very well done.
yeah, I like that you don't get a full explanation. The best explanation you get is it's an alien. Like it starts
Yeah.
off with the meteor shooting to Earth. So you completely skip over the mad scientist doing growth experiments on a spider. You don't get that nonsense. You get a vague, perfectly perfect explanation. You don't need to make up
Yes.
something ridiculous in order to get the movie going.
No, you do not. This 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 movie, like, I was so excited for this. Like, I went into this movie expecting a fairly decent movie. Like, why wouldn't you, you know?
Right? I mean, that's
And
kind of what we go into most movies hoping.
yes, exactly. But this movie especially was it did such a good job of you hit the nail on the head when we were leaving as to
Oh,
why
what did I
this movie
say?
is so good. You said
Oh
that
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
movie, yeah, this
yeah, yeah.
this
I
movie
remember now.
utilizes something that horror movies don't anymore, because they get off because most horror movies go for the jump scare route. So they go for surprise, shock, horror. They very rarely use dread. And that, you hit the nail
Exactly.
on the head as to why this movie is so fucking effective in its
Because and,
it's why
and
it taking itself seriously paid off.
right, because they don't hit you with blah spider. I mean, they do that like twice in the whole movie, and it's actually kind of effective. And in fact, most of the jump scares are fake outs, like when you see the big shadow on the wall and the lady goes blah and she points her flashlight and it's just a plant. Like
Yeah.
those pay off really well because they do that sometimes as well. But most of it is just they're standing there, or and you see it like it's like literally like like a fucking 4 to 5 foot tall shadow of a spider just lowering down the wall in the background, and like no sound, completely silent, and you're just left to notice it at your own pace, and when you do it's just it
Yeah.
hits you. And that's
It was
every single
so
time it
effective.
comes on screen it does that, and it's so good. And there was one part when it takes the mom, the dad, and the baby, it hits them in the middle of their argument. Like the mom
Yes.
and the dad are arguing, and then while they're arguing you see the giant thing just crawling across the ceiling towards them. Like it's not even like in those beats where it's like all quiet and the characters like looking around, like waiting for something spooky to jump out, and then it crawls down. Like it was in the middle of a normal scene where you weren't expecting it to come hit you, and then it just tackles them, and just gets right to it. Oh my god, I'm not scared of spiders at all. Like I don't have arachnophobia really at all anyways, any more than
Yeah.
any normal person would be scared of something either crawling on them or biting them. But like I'm not squeamish around spiders at all, like some people. But
Yeah.
even this it gets in on under your skin. Like I can see this movie inventing that fear for people, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, absolutely. There are people that walked into this movie without a fear of spiders and walked out with a crippling one.
Yeah.
Like, this was a very effective movie at
Hmm.
that. Like, I used to be afraid of spiders as a kid. I did. And now I've gotten to a point with spiders where it's like kind of a
And then you watched Monster Musume, and now you're like, oh, I get it. No, I'm good now.
no, that's Alex. Uh
Don't fucking out him on the
my bad.
podcast.
My bad. My bad. Sorry, bro. Freaking no, it's just the how do I put it? The
You found out that getting rid of spiders take work and effort, and you didn't want to do that.
yeah, well, not only that, it's just I've gotten to a point where I don't really mind spiders. I understand that they are like a vital part of like the ecosystem and stuff like that. And
Right, but not
they
not the ecosystem of your house, though, dude.
well, yeah, like I'm usually okay with spider. Like as long as they fuck off and stay
You
away
can
from me,
you
like
can
ain't gonna
keep
go
you
out of my
can
way to do
keep
it.
one or two in your house if they are, helping you get rid of the bugs. But if they just
Yeah,
making cobwebs, get
yeah,
rid of
those
them,
guys
bro,
suck.
because they're gonna be making
Yeah,
babies.
those guys suck. But like this movie has me like gave me the heebie-jeebies. Like it
It
really did. Like
I can't help but to imagine that it's that it seeing something like this brings up like resurfacing um feelings of previous fears. Like as a kid, I used to be like deathly terrified of zombies.
yeah,
Like I didn't like the aspect of like something that will
dead coming back
get
to life.
you, and that no, something that will get you and then will turn you into something else. I didn't like that. Um and as an adult, I've come to appreciate like more um like zombie media and stuff, but every once in a while there will be something that will handle zombies in a perfect way, that it'll bring back like those old feelings, that it'll feel exactly the same as like when I was a kid scared of these things. So that's kind of what I can picture. Maybe not you, but like some people who are like you used to
Yeah,
be afraid of spiders in that way.
yeah, there are. This movie could definitely mess with people's fears. Like it messed with mine. Like I was this sheer amount of times that I was just gripped in this movie was a lot. Like I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching this and I'm just like freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was very effective at it.
Yeah. Two things that I think were a very interesting aspect and that I really liked how they did it and it really pulled off well. First of all, the isolation aspect, because it is in the
Oh
middle of a
yes.
snowstorm, so everyone in this building is kind of more or less snowed in. I mean, they have an exterminator or two come in, but like there's not really a whole lot of in and out. Like there's not an option that, hey, let's just leave.
No, like they're stuck here. And another in that same vein, I shouldn't say in that same I guess it is. Uh the the fact that no one else it isn't until like the very end of this movie that like danger flags for people in it.
Mhm.
Like the characters in the movie, and that was handled very well. Like they didn't have an urgency to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, because it was just like, oh, something happened. Oh, there's rats. Oh, there's bugs. Oh, there's whatever. Call the exterminator. Because that's all they do is they call the exterminator and they think problem solved, when it's still just like the little tiny little evidences. And then by the time it's too late, it's too late. Sorry, you can't do anything more. Um.
That was
But the
another
other
thing.
what
Unless we're about to bring up the same point.
I was about to bring up the mothballs.
Oh, okay, no. Speaking of the speaking about the what do you call it? The aspect of calling the exterminators. The cold open for this movie
Oh
is
yes, that
so
was
good.
That was the other thing I wanted to bring up. The uh cold open, because it's one of those like, oh, 4 days earlier, afterwards, so it's like you get like a brief moment of the chaos fully going on without any of the context of the movie, any of the setup. You're just thrown right into it. um and I think they handle that so perfectly well that from the beginning of the movie to like the title card, to which after that is, like the four days earlier, that alone would be a fantastic short film,
Oh,
because it
it
has
would. Amazing.
every single like ingredient to make a great short film. Like you could have showed me just the first I don't know, what is it, 15 minutes, we'll call it, and you could have showed me that and said it was like pulled straight out of like Crypt TV, or like some kind of like short horror short film channel on YouTube or something, and I would have believed you. I thought that would be great.
Yeah.
So the fact that like just a small segment of it, and let alone the cold open, can just perfectly, like, you could give me just that and I'd be like, that's amazing. And then they went on to make the entire rest of the movie. It blew my mind
Yeah,
how good that cold open was.
it was so perfect. And the fact that like the tie-in by the end of the movie, like that the cold open was like later, it's like a later in the movie and then it flashes back. Like they Quentin Tarantino'd this shit.
Well,
Like
and it's not one for one. Like in the cold open, they're following the grandma character, and then like later in the movie, they're following a different character, and that's happening side by side. So it's not
yeah.
like they're just showing it again. It's like they're reintegrating everything we know now into the scene we saw earlier.
Yeah. It it was done very, very well. And I
You want? Do you want to talk about the mothballs?
oh yeah, sure. You can go ahead on your rant about the mothballs. Yeah.
All right. I was hoping you could help me out with this here, because you seemed equally as impressed with this.
Yes, I actually was,
Um,
yes.
so she finds out that the spider doesn't like mothballs.
Like acid.
Yeah, it's like acid. Um, it's like bug repellent at first, and then when the spider makes direct contact with it, it's acid, and it's burns through her. It burns through the webs.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why the grandma is safe, is because her sweaters smell like mothballs and it keeps the spider away.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm thinking she grabs mothballs, and I'm thinking, all right, so you're just gonna like rub them on yourself, make sure you smell like it, whatever, do a little under the armpit, right, or
Mhm.
something, or like crush it up into powder and like dump it on yourself or something.
Yeah.
No, she dissolves the mothballs in water and then puts that into a squirt gun. And that
Yes.
is brilliant. And then goes up to her grandma's house to get more mothballs and then puts those into water bottles so that she can just like, throw the water out, or
It
dump it, or pour it where it's needed to do all that. I thought that was a brilliant weakness that makes
yes.
absolute sense, and then they used it tactfully in the best available manner.
What's even better is it's not like it's a thing that's super common.
Yeah.
Like it was a very common thing. Like the way that she found it out was super, like it wasn't forced. It was very like it was very natural.
Hmm.
Like, it just rolled out of her sleeve. kind of thing. Like it
Yeah,
was,
cause her grandma with the mothballs made the sweater for
yeah,
her, and like that's
it,
how
it
she
was
was safe. Was that the sweater that she made smelled like mothballs?
it was just so it was so well done. And like also another thing that was very well done in this movie, uh, I really liked almost all of the characters in this movie.
Yeah,
Like
I
even the ones that you were
un-
designed to hate in this movie, I liked.
unlike Abigail, I think the
Yeah,
characters in Sting were flushed out very well,
especially the
and you got
dad.
yeah, the dad and the little girl. I think I'm going out on a limb here. I'm gonna say I think the little 7-month-old baby had more character than half the cast of Abigail.
Yes, he did. it it was very interesting. Like they really rammed home like the oh he's the stepdad thing, and that rings for me.
Hmm.
Like as you know as a guy who's dating a girl who has a daughter, like that's who I am. Granted, she didn't really know her actual dad, so like it's not wasn't like that. But like that feeling that he is having throughout the movie of like
Yeah,
trying to get her to
being
accept him, like
yeah, being on that fence of am I dad or am I gonna be just Ethan?
yeah, like that I that rings. Also on top of he's trying to provide for his family, like he's having a rough time getting stuff done. Like he's an artist and they want him to do this stuff. Like they're like you need to get all these pages made by this day. And like and he's like I can't do that. Like I got to work to provide for my family and stuff like that. And they're like, "Well, you got to get it done." And they're like trying to juggle all those things to be the provider, and then his family is just on top of him like the mom is freaking, oh, you would help her if you know she was Henry, if she was the like Henry or whatever, like you do that for Henry or whatever the fucking kid's name was, the baby boy's name was, like you do that for him, not for her because she's not your actual daughter. And like
She
all of
say
the
that?
she said that at one point. Like she said, like she said something came up. I can't remember what it was, but I remember her being
I'm
like,
not trying to gaslight you, but I don't remember that conversation.
it,
There
it, it
may
was
or may not have been a giant spider in the background that was much more
yeah, I don't
deserving
know.
of my
It
attention at
was
the
it was
time.
part it was partly it was like right around like within the 15 minutes of that fight happening.
Ah,
Like of that argument happening or something like that. And like he's just trying
fair
to make
enough.
stuff, he's trying to fix stuff. Like that scene where he's trying to fix like the TV or whatever and like all
Oh
this other
yeah,
stuff. And
and he just
he's
punches it. He just
he just
punches the TV for no
like
reason.
it shocked him. It
I don't
zapped
know.
him.
It shocked me. I was like, "Damn."
Well, no, like he was trying to fix stuff or
Oh
whatever,
yeah.
and everyone was
Oh,
on him, and it
shocked physical
electrocuted him.
electrocuted shock, not like
Yeah,
surprise shock. Yeah,
like it zapped him, like it zapped him, and he's
and
like,
he
"Ugh,"
just went,
and he just lost it, and he just
"Oh."
fucking punched it, and everyone went quiet, and
Yeah, that was
like,
scary.
and then
That was the
all of a sudden
scariest thing in the movie. That
he
was scarier than
he
the spider. Ethan
he
lost his shit.
immediately became the villain, and I'm sitting here like, dog, you have been actively letting this little girl glorify the father that fucking abandoned her when this man has been there for you for who I don't know how long the timeline of this is, but I understand I understand the whole you want your child to not think that their parent abandoned them. That is understandable, very admirable almost. But you have someone who is there every day, who has been there for your child every day, and you're still letting her glorify her dad over the guy who's actually physically there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
I thought that was a
chick said,
really decently done, like not side plot, but like character aspect was that back and forth because I think that fed into the spider, like her falling, you know,
yeah.
she's like, oh, I don't have my real dad, he's not here. I don't have Ethan because he's a bitch, and mom won't listen to me. She's too busy with the baby. All I have is my spider, and like it feeds into that, and
The
like it's not like
characters,
a
yeah, the characters in the
separate thing.
movie, the characters in the movie added to the story. They didn't
Hmm.
take away from the story. It was
Yeah.
very, it was very well done. Uh, all of the visual moments with the spider were
Hmm.
so good. There was
Yeah.
not a bad frame with the spider in this movie at all. It was
And once it
always so good.
Yeah, and once it got to a bigger size and they start doing the spider practically, oh, it looks so good.
It was so fucking good. And like all of the stuff that they used and everything, like everything made sense.
Yeah.
Like literally the only gripe, not even a gripe. The only thing I have about this movie is that you saw the twist ending from a mile away.
Right. But I mean, it was a fair ending. I wouldn't really call it a because you're talking about the eggs, right?
Yes. I
Okay.
was
I
yes.
wouldn't call that a twist. That's more of like the horror movies always end on a kind of like a dun dun dun. It could continue from here for you. Just so it like plays with your head one last time so you're thinking about
Yeah.
it like, "Oh, do they get infested with more spiders, or since they would be little at this point so they could just safely squish them so that
Yeah.
they don't do that, or do they escape into the vents and they don't find them until it's too late again? Who knows? Set up for Sting too. Who knows? That kind of plays with your head. So I mean it was expected, but you can't really fault them for that,
Yeah. Like
at least in my opinion.
literally all the characters in this movie added to it, especially the one they had to have the autistic science guy in the movie because without him, half the movie doesn't even work, doesn't even happen. Eric,
Yeah. I
without
liked
him,
him.
half the
I liked
movie.
him. He was an interesting character. He was kind of
Well,
off, and I kind of like that about him.
without him, half the movie doesn't even happen because like
Yeah,
he's the
because
one who
he.
feeds it to get super big.
It's still unclear whether he's alive or not, because he was still like gasping for air last we saw him, and the spider didn't come back to kill him. I don't know if he succumbed to wounds or something, but
I
fate
I
unknown.
I have to ask you because this is actually a question that is probably going to come up like when people go see this movie in a group or they know someone else who has seen the movie, I feel like this question will pop up. What what scene in the movie got you the most? Like made like either made your skin crawl or like that ah like
I
not
don't know
scared but
about.
like that.
I think the most impactful one for me, the one I thought was
Okay.
done the very best, was when after the scientist guy Eric goes to bed, and there's a slow pan and zoom on the fish tank that he's keeping the spider in, and there's like blood from the fish and stuff all obscuring the vision on the glass, and you just see all this like stuff in there and what kind of looks like plants, but it's not plants, it's the spider's legs, and then it just lurches forward all of a sudden, and the glass just cracks, and it instantly cuts to the next scene. I thought that was fantastic. Because the
Yes.
glass is obscured, so you're not only are you looking at it, but you're like squinting and like trying to decipher what's happening inside. And then while it's got you doing that, it just instantly moves, so you're instantly struck with realization of, oh, that's the spider, that's its legs. I see exactly what this is now. And it's moving like in your direction, and then it breaks the glass.
Yes.
I thought that was fantastic.
It was so well done. The moment for me, my favorite kill in this movie is the first one, because even at like
Well,
that medium
well,
size.
we have a cold open. So what do you mean the first? Which one do you mean the first one?
Sorry,
Chronologically or in the movie?
uh, chronologically,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it shows you that not only is this thing, not only is it like deadly, it's smart.
I mean,
Like
I wouldn't.
it literally, like it strategically made its way across the room. Like this also showcases the feeling of dread. Like you can see it, and like you're trying
Mhm.
to figure out, like it's just building and building, and when is it gonna hit her? When is it gonna get her? And like the moment where it like crawls over, like she's holding the picture, and it like
Mhm.
crawls over the top and like attacks her. Like she's crawling to the thing, and like she goes to the bathroom, and she like is like looking at her face. I think, doesn't she slip and then hits
Yeah,
her head and then hits her next?
it bites her, and
Oh
it
yeah,
starts
that's
to
what it was.
paralyze her, and then she goes to the bathroom to look at her face, to look at the
Yeah.
bite, and then she freaks out and she's partially paralyzed and she falls back and just cracks her head on the bathtub.
Yeah, and like
And
so
then
now
as
she's like,
she's like so she's like injured and paralyzed, and then the spider starts crawling up her face and then into her mouth, and then it starts cutting out of her stomach.
it, that is so, like that whole scene, I'm just uh,
Yeah,
like
as a
I'm
scene as a
literally
whole, I thought that like
crawling.
yeah, that
I'm crawling
I
in my
wasn't
seat, right? My
I
skin is
wasn't
crawling.
thinking. Yeah, that was the creepiest scene there. I think the glass tank is probably like one of the best like shots, but I think that was
Mhm.
probably like the creepiest scene. I thought that was very good. All right. Yeah. So moving on to the rankings then. Straight up, I'm giving this an 8. This was fantastic, and I'm definitely gonna buy it on DVD as soon as it comes out.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah. Same. I also gave this movie an 8. It was very well done. Very. I could just sit and just make noises trying to explain this movie, like what I all loved about this movie. Like even the scene that probably looked, the worst in this movie, and it was still okay because it was just shocking and terror, and you're just like, oh my gosh, is the part where it literally jumps off the ceiling onto the dude.
Yeah.
Like that's the only scene in the movie that looked not the best, but it was still like, oh my gosh, like that is literally horrifying to think about, the sensation that would, ah
All
ugh,
right.
ugh.
Okay. Moving on to our last movie of the night, we have the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Isaac, would you
Yes,
care to kick us off?
yes. So, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and a group of military officials hatch a daring plan to neutralize Hitler's fleet of German U-boats during World War II. Made up of a motley crew of rogues and mavericks, the top secret combat unit uses unconventional techniques to battle the Nazis and change the course of the war. Now, the coolest thing about this movie is that it's true, based on
Goes
true
hard.
events. But like, this was effectively the first Spec Ops team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is really cool. Like, this didn't even. I think it said in the movie that this is based off of files that were declassified
Yep.
in like
They were
2016.
secret files from Winston Churchill that were declassified in 2016.
Yeah. So right off the bat, I was already super excited for this movie because of Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson.
Mm-hmm.
Those two
Two
being in
super
this
great
movie.
guys who have been in a lot of good things recently.
Yeah.
In
It.
recent years, their track record for movies has been pretty good. Well, Richson's more
Yeah.
than Cavill's, but for the most part, really good.
Not only that, it is a Guy Ritchie movie, which even though Guy Ritchie movies are not normal, are not like they're not super thought provoking, they are always entertaining. I have
Mhm.
yet to find a Guy Ritchie like spy type movie that I didn't enjoy. Like,
Mhm.
they're just fun. He knows how to make a fun movie. Like, he really does.
Yeah, I thought all the jokes, maybe not all the jokes, but a lot of the jokes hit, and they hit hard. Like
Yeah.
I was laughing more than being in awe of the action. Like I think the comedy was like really on point because it was all like cheeky and snarky. Like I love how I love how he offers him like a drink of water or anything or something, but instead he just goes for the whiskey, and then he pulls out the cigar and he's like, "Can I take one?" And then he's like, "Yeah," and then he just starts like stuffing more.
Yeah.
Like he's
The
pockets
visual jokes in this movie were so
like
well done.
as they're looking at him, like he's the subject of like like he's the main thing that they're focusing on, and he's just like
Yeah.
filling his pockets, like he's grabbing the cigars like by twos, and just he grabs like three handfuls of them and just puts them in his pocket.
It was like all the characters in this movie were super funny and had like such good like I shouldn't say they were all super funny. Like they were just like the main guys, I should say.
Yeah,
Were
they
really good.
they had really good chemistry and they worked together so well.
Oh yeah. Like there have been interviews with that people have interviewed both Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson like separately, and like both of them commend the other, like for the just the way that they are when
Mhm.
they're on set. Like the all the jokes, I fucking love the opening, the cold open for the movie, where it's like the two
Yeah,
of them drinking on a boat. Like
yeah, and they pretend to
it's like
be uh fucking Swedish. And
yeah,
then
and
when
it's
the
like
jig is up, they just start unloading into all the Nazis.
I love the accent that Alan Richardson does for this. Like, is it supposed to be
Yeah,
Swedish?
I believe so. Yeah,
This is like,
some
oh,
Scandinavian.
are you in trouble now? Like, it was so,
That was real bad. I might
that
cut
was
that
really
out for
bad.
the sake of the
Yep,
listeners.
please do. That was really bad. But no, like, the chemistry they had on screen, the pacing of this movie, which again is just something that Guy Ritchie's really good at. So I realized one of the reasons I love Guy Ritchie movies is because he directed two of the two movies that have my favorite role that Robert Downey Jr. has ever done. And that's Sherlock Holmes.
Iron Man and Doolittle.
No, God no. No, both the Sherlock
Tropic
Holmes
Thunder,
movies.
Isaac. You loved his blackface in Tropic Thunder.
Shut up.
Yeah.
It's fucking,
Um,
but no, the Sherlock Holmes Robert Downey Jr. movies are so well done, and that's like really set the tone for a lot of what I expect out of Guy Ritchie, and he hits that every time. His pacing in his movies are always well done. His his characters are always very well written.
mhm.
This was just a really good time. Like it
Agree.
really, really was.
And I'm sure
Uh,
Alex wouldn't forgive me, since he couldn't be here for the podcast. He
mhm.
wouldn't forgive me if I didn't mention that the author who wrote the original James Bond books was actually a character in the movie, and it's claimed that the main character, Gus March Phillips, Henry Cavill's character, was the inspiration for, James Bond in the first place, and that
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah, it's a really it's one thing. The fact that this is based on true events completely recolors the entire movie.
It does.
Like if this was just another Guy Ritchie action, like let's put it this way: we went and watched Operation Fortune last year.
Did we?
Uh, we did. We went and saw that. I think that was last year.
That was a
Was that last
that was
year?
a joke. That was a joke.
Oh, but like that that was another Guy Ritchie movie, and it was fun. We both enjoyed ourselves. It wasn't super thought provoking or whatever,
We
but
gave it a
like
5.
I think we did, yeah. But like taking that kind of vibe and like the fun that that movie had, and making it a real, but applying that to a real story was super like entertaining.
Mhm.
Like I deeply loved this movie, and you could tell that everyone had fun making it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say on this movie? I mean, I could
Um,
probably talk more like about
I
specifics.
I thought it was super funny that rather than blowing up the boat, they just fucking took it.
Yeah, they just stole it. I almost forgot about that. Ooh, speaking of things in that, the smoothness that these guys have. Like, yes, the moments where they're
Elaborate.
like absolutely ripping through guys is fucking cool. Like where they're just taking
Mhm.
guys down with stuff. But
They
like,
just fully cap somebody
yeah,
without
or
even
like,
looking.
yeah, those are cool. But like, yeah, those are the moments I'm talking about where they're just casually walking through this marina and just taking dudes out.
Mhm.
Like, isn't there the moment? I love the moment where he's like, "Hold on, let's have fun with these ones," and he like lines them up and has them like stand at attention or something, and then just goes boom, 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 and just takes out all three of them.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was,
I don't have a whole lot specific to say about the movie much, other than just like from start to finish, it's just a good sit down and enjoy yourself. It's just like a good spectacle to just see it.
yeah, like all the effects were very, very nice. The best thing, the thing I loved most, and this is more from just like someone who's very interested in that kind of stuff. Uh, I loved that they made Alan Richson's character the big the big super jacked dude. They made him an archer.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very, very a very good thing to do because he's using a recurve bow through the whole movie. Recurve bows take a lot of strength to pull back on, like a lot more than a compound bow. And it like it really helps if you know that it really helps showcase just how strong his character is because of those scenes where he like is shooting the arrow so like the arrow goes through a dude and like embeds like I think he killed two guys with one bolt with one arrow at the same time.
He did at one point, yeah.
Like it went through one dude and through the other one. Like and also the scene where he had it where he was using it in like the close quarters of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was so so fluid and the way he did it like the fight choreography in this movie was very 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 well done and I loved all of it.
Yeah.
I again like you said it was just a fun movie to just sit down and enjoy. Like I did not find myself having a bad moment watching this movie.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the rankings. Take us away, Mr. Isaac.
I'm giving this movie an 8 as well. I very much, very, very enjoyed this movie.
Yeah. I'm going to give this movie a 7. I also enjoyed
All
it a
right.
whole lot, but I find myself not able to come up with a whole lot to say about it, other than it's just good to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
Specifics. There's not a whole lot. Like there's a whole ton of scenes that go hard,
Mhm.
but I can't think of anything like
The movie, it's one of the downsides of Guy Ritchie
specific. I
movies.
can. Yeah, it is. It really is.
It moves so fast. It's hard to hold on to anything that specifically happens in the movie because there's so
Right.
many beats that happen in quick succession, and you're like, "Oh, that was what? Oh!" It's just like
Yeah,
by
it's
the
a
end of
lot
the
of
movie,
that.
the only
It's a
things
lot
you
of
can
that.
remember are the newest stuff. Like it takes many, many
Well,
watchings to really get specifics about what you like about the movie.
yeah, I didn't. We didn't do a whole. I didn't sit down and analyze the thing. I watched it and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like I got caught up in it and I forgot to like nitpick if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean it's nothing like super extravagant, but it's just a nice fun time.
Yeah, we were just those boys on that boat. Those
It's
boys that
true.
stole that boat.
It's true. It's also true. All right. Next time, Mr. Isaac, we should have we should have 2 movies to squeeze in. We'll have the shortest podcast ever. We have a new movie and a repeat movie. We will be seeing Boy Kills World, which actually I'm going to come clean here. I have already seen Boy Kills World, and I've
Yeah. I,
already ranked it in my phone, because Isaac cannot get mad at me for this because it's not my fault that I saw this
mhm.
movie. It's actually not my fault that I saw this movie without him because the movie theater was putting on a special deal. It was a mystery movie. I had no idea what it was. All that was available was that it was about 2 hours long and it was rated R. They had no other indication. I was hoping that it would just be actually something random. Like I was hoping
Yeah.
that it would be something random. and I was really hoping that it wasn't going to be just they re-released an old movie that didn't do so well in sales the first time around. So now they're, oh, let's squeeze as much money out of this as we can before we, take it away for good. But lo and behold, it was an early screening. I don't want to say test screening, but it kind of feels like that. But it was an early screening of Boy Kills World, and I knew that's what it was because it immediately opened up with the Bob's Burger voice. But I will be a good little boy and sit on my hands until we get both of us in those seats to see this again, and then we can come together to form our collective thoughts on it before we do that. Also, just a couple months before the release of the brand new movie, we have Alien, the first Alien movie coming back around for theaters for some anniversary. I'm not quite sure. But that'll be cool too, because I've played Alien Isolation, but I've never actually seen the original Alien movie before. So this will be a rather interesting watch. I've seen the Predator movies, but not the Alien movies. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, Alien is one of those things that I've always kind of slept on a small bit.
Yeah.
There is another one that we haven't quite landed on, possibly.
What?
That we might have. If you remember, they
The same
re-released
day?
not the same.
Yeah.
They also
That's
re-released. They're re-releasing The Mummy. Brendan
We
Fraser's
did
The
land on
Mummy.
that. I just forgot about it.
Yeah.
So we are all going to see Brendan Fraser's The Mummy.
I fucking love that movie so much, and I cannot wait to actually see it in theaters. Like, I've watched that movie so many times, and I cannot wait to go see that.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, while Isaac puts his Brendan Fraser boner back in his pants, be sure to subscribe because it keeps us going and keeps us watching. Check out our letterbox at Cinema Kellan and Regular Isaac. And until next time, guys, that's a wrap. Roll credits.